Hi there. I hope you're enjoying a lovely weekend. Thanks for tuning in. And you may be a little bit surprised. Usually I don't upload anything on the weekends. When was that? Last week, the weekend before that was a little bit of outliers. But I guess we have another outlier this week. What happened was really yesterday, I got an email from Carla, who has worked with us in BedTyme and worked with Alina and Coach Michelle as well. And she just said, hey, do you only do success stories as interviews, or can I send something in writing? And I said, either one is really helpful. Anything that brings some hope and inspiration to the community is really, really welcome. So the day after, which is today's Friday, my Friday, she sent a remarkable letter, just like chronicling her journey through insomnia. And it's a powerful one, um, giving up work and thinking she couldn't have more kids, and being in that really like a place of real desperation, desolation, to finding hope and meaning and purpose, and like finding life again. It's one of those stories. So I really want to share it with you. And so yeah, let's read it together, and I hope you'll find it really inspiring and helpful. So here it is in Carla's own words. She called it herself her insomnia story, Carla's insomnia story. Let's read it. It all started mid-September 2021. I was feeling very stressed about different things and had a hard year overall with the loss of loved ones because of COVID. My sleep previous to this was never an issue, and I never thought I would become someone with sleep problems ever. One night, my 2-year-old was not falling asleep, but I was. I was exhausted, and she kept waking me up. By the third time, I was really upset and got really anxious, and that was the beginning of it. I didn't sleep last night, just felt wired. I did do some work and other chores, however, the next night it was the same, and I didn't sleep again. My anxiety level skyrocketed, and I ended up going to a walking clinic to see a doctor. He prescribed zopiclone, but only half a tablet. I was terrified of using tablets and pills to sleep, and found myself even more anxious and scared as the moment of taking the pill arrived. Well, it didn't work. I went back to the doctor the next day and they told me to just take the whole pill. I did, and slept for maybe 3 hours, but woke up scared and couldn't fall back asleep again. I decided not to keep taking that, because at that early stage I already knew this was something related to anxiety, not sleep. I went back to the doctor and they gave me lorazepam, but a very low dose, like a 0.5. Didn't do much. So I ended up going to the emergency room. What most people do in a week or a couple of weeks, I did in 5 days. I was so scared, and I didn't understand why I was having so much anxiety around sleep. The emergency wasn't much help. The doctor was nice and sat down with me to tell me that pills wouldn't treat my anxiety around sleep. I needed CBTi and the therapy and maybe some pills. But he upped my lorazepam dose, and off I went. I took the lorazepam and slept maybe 4 hours. I was calmer the next day, but it didn't last long until I started freaking out again. I decided to quit the lorazepam because I didn't want to become hooked on it. On my second week on my second week of this, I found Martin Reed and heard all of his podcast episodes over and over. I decided to look for a CBTi coach. During this time, I felt like I lost not my will to live, but I was questioning how I was going to survive feeling this way, consumed by fear and anxiety, not sleeping, and the cycle repeating. I stopped working. I have a side woodworking business. I stopped making plans for the future. We were actually trying for the second baby, but I decided I didn't want to anymore, because how was I going to take care of another baby in the condition I was in? I was in a dark hole and didn't seem to see any way out. I was sleeping very little, and I was very anxious. I could feel myself all tensed up and scared before sleeping, and would sleep maybe 2 to 3 hours each night. I found my CBTi coach, which, by the way, this is not Martin Reed, who most of you know. He's a good friend of mine and an amazing coach. This is not Martin Reed. I found my CBTi coach and also another therapist for just general issues. From the moment I went to the emergency room and the moment I started therapy, probably 3 weeks had passed. By the time I started CBTi, I found your channel, and it grabbed my attention. I started listening to your videos, and especially your success stories. I also got your book and read it in a day. I had hope now that there was light at the end of this tunnel. I found CBTi very restricting and just not worth it. How can you relax about your sleep anxiety when you have to count hours and get up every 15 minutes? Maybe it will work for people with other types of insomnia, but not for sleep anxiety insomnia. 2 weeks into October, I joined your Insomnia Immunity program, but I found the Slack channel too triggering for me, so I decided to go with the BedTyme app. I worked with Alina, who is amazing. I had a trip to my country, Peru, planned for November 15th, and it was giving me anxiety to go. But Alina was encouraging and said, well, imagine you stay and you still don't sleep here. It would be better to go even if you don't sleep. Before I left for Peru, I parted ways with the CBTi coach. I was clearly not going to achieve anything that route, and it was sort of a nightmare. Besides, I didn't listen to her really because I was with Alina already and doing your teachings and not hers. By that time, I was sleeping, choppy still, anxious sleep, but I could live with that. My will for life returned. My plans seemed feasible, and I wanted to work again and achieve everything I wanted to. I was back. I went to Peru terrified. First night, I passed out cold. The next nights in my 4th month trip ranged from good to anxious, but nothing like it was. I was having fun, going out with friends and enjoying family. I was given an anxiety pill, which is a benzo called Lexotan, a bromazepam. I had it before while I was in Canada, but it did nothing to my sleep. However, my doctor thought it might be good to just calm me down generally. It was a very small dose, and bromazepam is not intended for sleeping or treating insomnia. It's more for anxiety or even IBS. It's a mild benzo, but still, I didn't want to get hooked on it. I would take a quarter pill instead of the full pill. Then January arrived. I had a session with Coach Michelle because I had a rough night, and also I found out I was pregnant. She was amazing as usual, helped me a lot, and kept going on my journey. Came back to Canada, things went smoothly. I had a couple of awakenings at night. Sometimes they wouldn't last, sometimes they would last. At times, I would have a night in which I would get really, really anxious. But I wasn't chasing perfect nights. In a setback, I contacted Alina and I had a one-on-one. This was maybe around March. She basically said to do whatever I wanted. Now there are no should not. Keep asking myself what feels right for me in that moment and do it. It gave me lots of freedom and I kept moving forward. I was really nervous about being pregnant and finally giving birth and the wake-ups and night feedings with the baby. I know that's what gives me a lot. What gives a lot of new moms insomnia to begin with. But once my baby was born, it was smooth sailing. I sleep peacefully now and I have naps. The baby forced me to come out of my comfort zone, look at the clock and be up in random times at night, and kind of finished up my teaching my brain that it's okay. It's okay to be up. It's okay to have a day of little sleep. It was a long journey. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not one of those people that say, I'm thankful for insomnia. Honestly, I could have lived without it. Ha ha ha. But it did teach me a lot, especially that we are stronger than we think we are. I know when I realized the only way out of this was all on me, that nothing exterior, pill, or doctor would fix it, it terrified me, and I honestly thought I was doomed. I had a great support system, a loving husband, and my mom, who's had her fair share of panic attacks, anxiety, and sleeping problems, to guide me through tough times as well. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope, and there is a way out. Some things I learned: be kind to yourself. You're going through something super traumatic, and you're doing the best that you can. It's okay to feel all the feelings at any point in your journey out of insomnia. Insomnia is a state of mind, really. There's nothing really there, and it's easy to become caught up in the philosophy of insomnia. We get insomnia because we overthink to begin with, and if you keep overthinking and becoming really deep with it, then you might get caught up in overthinking sleep, and sleep is the opposite. It's so simple. It is our trying to understand sleep that makes it complicated. I know for the purpose of teaching sleep, in your case, for example, analogies and a deep understanding of human thought processes is necessary, but in reality, sleep is simple and not worth the analysis. Haha. I saw lots of messages in my short stay on the Slack chat of people truly trying to go deep into their sleep and sleep thoughts. I think it's a problem. It takes time to get better. One of the things my therapist said, not the CBTi, but the other one, was that it takes about 3 or 4 months to create new neural paths and connections in the brain. So getting out of the fear connection wasn't an easy fix, but it was possible. And you are in total control of that car. You can do it. Sometimes when your brain is going through thousands of sleep thoughts at night, when you are in the worst of it, It's helpful to choose an object and describe every detail of it to yourself. That kind of breaks your brain rumbling and you can calm down. Big thanks to Coach Michelle, Coach Alina. Could not have done it without them. Also to Brenda. I saw her story and get in contact with her. She's been amazing. And to Camille, she's always said what I needed to hear, even though she didn't realize it. I hope she's doing okay. And obviously to you, it's amazing what you're doing. Thanks so much. For those of you who don't know Brenda, she's been a guest on the channel, and Camille has also been a guest on the channel as well. So yeah, I'm not much more to add here. It's a beautiful story from Carla here, and she points out that that our immunity program, it's not easy if you're it can be a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot of people that you share the journey with, but a lot of people also find that very, very helpful. But other than that, I think the insights here are just remarkable. I have nothing more to add, but hope that you found some takeaway here, something that will help you, and that you'll have a continued nice and peaceful weekend. Bye now.